In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Hey, hey, warrior saints. Welcome to St. George and the way of the warrior saint, where we unleash great by living a crucifixional life. As you all know, I know you guys know this, my father died when I was very young, 7 years old, and I spent the rest of my life being raised with and by women. My mother raised me together with my sister. I married a beautiful girl. I have two beautiful girls from her, and I've spent really a lot of time, I've been around women a lot. It's not a bad thing, for sure, but as anyone who has been around women knows, fellas, that women are very, very, in their great love and their great aspirations to make their men great, they say things like, you know what you should do? You know what you should say? You know where you should go? And so this phrase, this type of loving criticism is always present to help us become great, to reach our full potential. It really began when I was, when I was a young kid. I had aspirations of being in auto parts. My dad was an auto parts distributor. He sold auto parts, and I wanted to follow in the business. And my mother said, you know what you should do? You should go to college. And I listened. Best decision of my life. When I went to college, it sparked my great love for education and learning. And you all know how much I love to learn and how much I love to read and study. And while I was in college was great. I had a blast in college. I was dating this beautiful blonde girl. I mean, she was beautiful. And my sister was in college with me. And she said, you know what you should do? You should dump Bambi and you should date Allison. And I said, Allison? I said, we're family friends. We've grown up together. She said, you know what you should do? You should date Allison. And I listened. Single best decision I've ever made in my life. Not only did I marry a good girl, a great girl, but the very best girl that God ever put on this planet. And for whatever reason, she was willing to marry me back. We moved to our first parish assignment in Oklahoma City. And when we were there, God rest his soul, Metropolitan Philip called and said, Chris, I'm going to assign you to one of two places. To Los Altos, which is San Jose, California area, or Phoenix, Arizona. And I said, yeah, baby, California. We get to go back home to California. And Allison said, you know what you should do? You should go to Phoenix. And I listened. Best decision I ever made for my ministry. I mean, not only because I'm not in California, we all know how crazy they are over there, but because without that decision, we wouldn't be here together. We wouldn't have one another. I wouldn't be blessed to be your priest, to have started this warrior saints movement that we have together. And speaking of the warrior saint movement, my oldest, my beautiful bride gave me Sophia. 2004 she was born. And one day she was about 5 or 6 years old. I was sitting on the couch eating Doritos, just hanging out. I was done studying. I had my master's degree, my college degree. I was done, khalas, that's it. And she says to me, Baba, is there college after college? And I said, well, sure there is. She said, well, what is it? I said, well, there's you go to college and then there's a master's degree. She goes, yeah, but is there any college after that college? And I said, well, there is something called a doctorate. And she said, Baba, you know what you should do? You should go get your doctorate. And so I listened. And from that moment, the fire that was in me before from college was reignited. And I learned so many things. It gave birth in my mind during that time to the warrior saint movement that we have today. And while developing the warrior saint movement, helping it, nurturing it along, I had visions that it would be something that would be for a very esoteric few, the academics in the Orthodox world. And my youngest, my sweet little Amuli, says to me, Baba, you know what you should do? And I said, no. What should I do? She said, you should make the warrior saint movement accessible to everyone. So not just young people or old people, or tall people or short people, or males or females, but make it accessible to all people. And so I listened. And as you know, this movement that you have been helping build has become something that is powerful, not just here in Arizona, not just here at St. George and Phoenix, but really it's starting to take hold and be a powerful force in the entire country, God willing someday, in the entire world. And so listening to our women as they say, you know what you should do, is definitely a beautiful thing. However, sometimes it may not be the right thing. I was having a conversation with my wife earlier this week, and I was talking about my sermon. What am I going to speak on today? What am I going to teach today? And I was giving her my ideas and my thoughts, and she says, you know what you should do? And I said, in my mind, absolutely not. Like, that's it. Enough is enough. I've been around these women my whole life. All they do is tell me what I should do and what I should say and where I should go. Enough. I'm a man. I'm not just a male, I'm a man. And there's something in there, right? I mean, I worked hard, I got all those degrees, and there's got to be something in there. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to come up. I don't need this anymore. I know what I should do. I know what I should do. And so I got the sermon prepared, and I said, you know what? I'm going to come to you, my spiritual children. And today, I'm going to tell you what you should do. And so this morning, all of this to lead to this, what you should do. You know what you should do? Allie, what did you tell me I should say at this bar? All right, come on, that's funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny right there. All right, that's good. Okay, so here's the point of all of that, right? Here we are. Come on, that's really funny. Like, I don't care who you are. That was good stuff. Do you know how long it took me to make that up? All right. In today's epistle, St. Paul talks to the Corinthian community. So it's his second epistle to the Corinthian community. And he wrote to them already a very strong, tough, nasty letter. We call that 1 Corinthians. And in that letter, he offered correction, correctives, instruction, criticism to teach his Corinthian Christians how to behave right, how to be good Christians. And you know what? I think the Corinthian Christians, they may have been a lot like you and I. They didn't like it. They didn't like the criticism. They didn't like the corrective. They didn't like the instruction that St. Paul gave to them. And they got angry. And so as you read in this, or heard in this epistle this morning, which comes to us from 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and at the end of 1 to the beginning of 2, we hear St. Paul saying, look, I decided not to come and pay you another painful visit, because when I came it was tough, and I brought thunder, right? But I wrote you what I did, and obviously I'm loosely paraphrasing, but I wrote you that corrective, that constructive criticism out of my great love for you. Because, as St. Paul says, I don't want you to be good. Now I'm making this up, but it's there. I don't want you to be good. I want you to be great, says St. Paul. Much in the parlance that we use here at St. George to unleash the great that the Corinthians had. But they did not like the instruction. They did not like the corrective. They did not like the criticism. And if we are much like the Corinthians, which I do believe we are, most of us also do not like criticism. We do not like correctives. In fact, somehow, somewhere in our DNA, we repel criticism. We run from criticism. We run from corrective, even when it's given to us in love. And I thought, well, why is all of that? Why do we run away from people who are giving us corrective advice and guidance? And I thought, well, part of it is because there's this facade that we put up. We put up this facade that I'm perfect. No one can call me out or question me because I don't do anything wrong. And we say things like, it's your fault, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's the world's fault, it's not my fault. And we put up this facade, this fake wall, where we tell ourselves, really only ourselves are being fooled, that we're perfect. We don't want the correction. We don't want the criticism to help us get better. And I thought, well, why is that? And I think the reason is, though there may be many, the reason for that is because correction is scary. Yes, it bruises our ego, for sure. But it's scary because it says, hey, you who are not perfect, you got a lot of work to do to get that ship going right, to make yourself go from good to great. It's a lot of hard work. And you know what? Hard work is scary. And so I think we build this facade and we tell ourselves that we're perfect. Now, what's really funny about all of that, as we're trying to avoid criticism, telling ourselves that we're perfect, like as Orthodox Christians, and we're about to say it in liturgy, we say that only Jesus is perfect. Only Jesus is blameless. Only Jesus has no mistakes, no sins, only Christ himself is perfect. And yet we tell ourselves, well, I'm perfect. I don't make mistakes. So which is it? Is Jesus alone blameless, or is it Jesus and you? Now, I don't know about you, but the Bible I read says that only Jesus is blameless before the Lord. And the rest of us are likened to all of the sinners in the Bible and the sinners in the world. So if this delusion that we give ourselves of perfection is leading us nowhere good, then maybe we should dump it. And we should try and do something totally, completely different. Here's what I'm going to say. You know what? Don't run from criticism. Go find it. Don't flee from criticism. Ask someone to criticize you. Don't be afraid of being criticized or corrected. Go find someone with enough love to tell you the straight answer, right? And you may be saying to yourself, Abuna, Father Chris, that's nuts. We don't want to do that. Really? We don't do that? Think about this. When you were in school and wrote a paper, or at work and you have a big project, what did we do? You look at it so much you just can't see it anymore because you're just so immersed in it, and you say to a friend or a teacher or a colleague or your parent, hey, will you read this and correct any mistakes? I mean, don't we all do that? I mean, we want to put forth a great paper. We want to put forth a great project, so we know that we know there's flaws in it. We know there's mistakes in it, so we give it to someone and say, will you correct the mistakes? If we are so interested and worried about correcting the mistakes in our papers and in our projects, is our life not more important? Is our life not more worthy of seeking correction and instruction? Indeed, it is, and we know that it is. So it begins by tearing down that facade of perfect. So now we come to the practical point today on the way of the warrior saint. I'm going to give you three things. Three things in order to run after, chase, go get, aspire for criticism and corrective action. Number one, first, tear down that facade in your mind, that delusion. You are not perfect. No one is, save Christ himself. And so the moment that we settle in our minds that, you know what, I'm not perfect, we then have a shot. We have a shot to go out and find someone who can help us as we move towards great. I mean, if you think you're already great, you are the only one who thinks that. Great is an aspiration. Becoming a warrior saint is something that we continually strive and fight for. So erase the delusion in your mind that you have attained the heights. If you have attained the heights and are already great, what are you still doing on this earth? You know what I mean? Like, there's still work to be done. If you're done, why are you here? All right? Erase that delusion from your minds. Begin the whole process by being honest to yourself and saying, I need help. And that's not a bad thing. Anybody who tells you they don't is fooling no one but themselves. Number two, go find somebody who will critique or criticize you. Yeah, I mean, again, I know it sounds funny, but I do that all the time. I do it with my team in the church office. I mean, I ask them, where do I stink? Where am I falling? What are my shortcomings? How can I help you do your jobs better? Where are my shortcomings? I want to know them because, look, I'm not interested in assuaging my own ego. Right? I learned a long time ago, let the ego go. Right? I'm not perfect. I'm not going to be perfect. But I don't want to massage my ego. I want to lead this place to honor, to glorify God's holy name. I want to lead this warrior saint message. So I need somebody to say, Father Chris, here's where you're screwing up. And I go to my team and I say to them every week, we meet twice a week, and I say, where am I screwing up? Because I want to know. I want that criticism. And they give me that criticism in love, right? Number three, when you seek someone to be a mentor, a guide, we use our spiritual fathers, someone, a parent, a teacher, someone, to be that person who will give you that constructive and beautiful, loving criticism and corrective. Here's who you got to get. Get someone smarter than you. Get someone better than you. Someone who knows more than you. Someone who has more experience. Someone with more wisdom. Like, look, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the smartest guy in the room, then people are chasing you, and you're not growing, you're not moving, you're not stretching. Put yourself as, the dumbest guy in the room, and follow those who are ahead of you, who have more experience and more wisdom, and go get it. Chase them, don't get chased down, right? Put yourself under someone who is smarter, wiser, better, faster, and you will learn, and you will grow, and you will be uncomfortable, and you will stretch, and you will be on the path towards great. And I promise you, if you do this, if you do these things, if you accept and eagerly desire and thirst for criticism, for loving correctives, you will leave behind the doldrums of average, the mediocrity that the world wants. I mean, the world out there is telling you, assuage your ego. Don't let anybody criticize you. It's everybody else's fault, not you. And what happens to people out there? Average, 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 average. You want to be great, go get that criticism, right? That's the only way. That's how it works. That's how life is designed to work. That's why parents are older than us and teachers are older than us. And all that wisdom comes with the gray hair because those people have already done all of that stuff. Right? So seek that criticism. Remember, I'm going to leave you with this. Just a quick recap. The 3 things we want to do. Number 1, stop the delusion. Not fooling anybody but thyself. Number 2, actively seek someone who you know with love will offer you criticism. Let me say this very quickly. When we say the word criticism, it has a negative connotation because we think, oh, criticism, it means he's going to hurt me or offend me. Look for someone who can give you a criticism, a critique from love, because they want you, the same way the Apostle Paul wants the Corinthian Christians to be great, so does this person want you to be great. Find that person. And that person that you find, make sure that he or she is ahead of you, better than you, smarter than you, whatever you want to say. Don't be the smartest guy in the room. Put yourself at the bottom of the rung and let them pull you up. Chase them. Don't get chased down. If you do that, it's like unbelievably true. It's absolutely unbelievably true that if you do that, you will not live good in this life. You will live great in this life. And I'm not talking about stuff. I'm talking about the power inside you. The truth of the flowing out of God's divine imprint on you will be pouring out of you on the world. Do this. Look for that criticism. Accept it. Find someone who's better than you to give it and devour it and work hard to make yourselves not good, but great. Until next time, keep walking the way of the Word is saying. Bless you.